Okay, good morning and welcome to West Murzy. I'm on the end of the pontoons, what we call the hammerhead. I'm waiting for the yacht club launch driver over there to come pick me up from the hammerhead here, take me out to the packing shed launch over there, make my way over to the packing shed. It's my favourite place in the world, and I do consider myself quite privileged to have the opportunity to come out and operate from here and just spend time out here. One of the perks of volunteering, look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so what I'm going to be doing today, I've bought the FT891 so that I can run a bit of power if I need to, up to 100 watts. I've got the AliExpress no name vertical. I've just invested in one of these, which is a Slidewinder coil. So what I'm hoping to do is actually get it working on 40 meters. I wouldn't normally use a vertical out here for 40 meters that wasn't a full quarter wave with elevated radials, which really does work fantastically, but I only really bring that out here if I'm going to have an overnight stay. So what I'm looking for, not really to use over here, but to use sort of elsewhere, is something that I can get on 40 meters but still kind of reliably work, given the trade-offs of you know, using coils on one of the lower bands. So I've got some radials. I've actually got 2 sets of radials there, 5 radials on each set, and I'm going to put the vertical out on the beach just here, keeping away from the birds that are nesting. So high tide is at around about 12:40 I think, but I need to be off here before then really, because the launch gets stuck on the beach here and then I end up having to stay here for 12 hours to choke balance here, to choke the common mode. And there's one on the end of the feeder there as well, because I want to try and avoid the coax, the feed, radiating. I've got 10 radials, each going out kind of spaced out equally, and the ends I've got rubber bands onto the little ring crimp connectors, just secured onto bits of granite, just to sort of like keep the radials out flat, stop them coiling up. I've got some ferrite cores at the feed point here, and it's a little bit frustrating because the analyzer, which is a Rig Expert Stick 230, I could never get it to connect properly to my phone to get a sort of like a proper chart, so sort of see a visual representation of where the sort of dip is. So it took a little bit of faffing around to actually just sort of like manually look at it on the analyzer display. But anyway, I'm sort of putting into practice here and sort of thinking about some of the things that I've sort of learned over the years. Number one, I'm going to put my sunglasses on actually. Number one, that inductively loaded antennas require better capacitive coupling to the ground, as do antennas that are lower in frequency. So all things being equal, a quarter wave on 7 megs, and a quarter wave on 20 meters the 40 metre is going to require a better ground. Add to that the fact that you're inductively loading it, and then obviously the ground becomes more critical. I would normally use dipole for a link dipole, so I can change bands easily, fairly low slung, so that I can sort of like reach the links easy. I'd usually use that on 40 metres, but ideally what I'm looking for is something that will work on 40 metres, the vertical, which is easy to deploy, but doesn't need any radials. Now 20 metres and upwards, you can get away with it, as my sort of recent experiments have determined, because I've used it on salt marsh. Now clearly that's not going to work on grass, because you're not getting the sort of the decent ideal earth really, the ideal ground for it. So it's obviously here on the beach is not perfect ground. I mean the sand, and I can't get the spike in all the way anyway. The sand is sort of moist, but that's about as much as I'd say for it. It's not really for me to use out here anyway. I'm just sort of like experimenting with the radials, but the trouble is, if I need to put the radials out in order to get it to resonate properly on 40 metres, then I'm kind of defeating the object of the quick deployment. So maybe I'm looking for the holy grail. So obviously when I'm using elevated resonant tuned radials, the length obviously significantly affects impedance match and the radiation pattern. So it's kind of critical to have them at the right length if you're going to elevate them. Obviously with ground mounted, it's less critical, because I suppose you're mostly coupling energy to the earth, to the sort of lossy earth. And obviously the conventional wisdom is the more radials that you've got, the better. Although there's diminishing returns to be had once you reach a sort of certain amount. I first started sort of messing around with elevated radials about 6 years ago. I had a trip out to Peel Island in Cumbria, and at that point I was using elevating only 3 radials, just elevated onto carbon fibre poles, or fiberglass poles, tent poles, independent of the guys. But then what I did is I then started hooking the using longer guys, and then attaching the 3 radials to the guys, and that's sort of what I've been using for radials kind of ever since, really, elevated radials. I'm not into modelling, you know, computer modelling. Plenty of other people do that, and I can just sort of learn from their experiments and their modelling. But most notably, recently came to my attention a guy called Greg, KJ6ER, who's done lots of modelling on elevated radials and developed an antenna system that he calls his POTA Performance. And there's a brilliant prescription, there's a brilliant presentation that I've seen. And I think you might even be able to find a link to it if you go to his qrz.com page. But the thing is that I'm sort of thinking is I want something that's quick to deploy, that's going to work on 40 metres, but without the need for ground radials. Because if I was going to go to all the faff of putting radials out, then I would use a link dipole, because aside from the fact that you don't get the low angle of radiation that you would, say, for working DX or whatever, generally speaking I would be doing this during the day. So anyway, yeah, so but I've managed to get the SWR down to about 2.2 on 1 to 2.2 on 40 metres. So I'm going to make a few contacts, and then I'm going to take the coil out and just use it on 20. Need to be mindful that the tide's coming in, so it's going to be getting nearer and nearer. Not that it matters that much if the radials at this end get a bit damp. That can only help. Yeah, so I think the conclusion is it was quite a faff really to put the radials out, and if I have to do that on salt marsh, then it's probably not worth the aggravation, and I'll probably just stick to a dipole. Okay, there's a contest on, and I don't want to sit here calling CQ, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the coil out. Okay, so I've taken the coil out. I was so engrossed in what I was doing there that I wasn't really watching the boat, and when I first pulled up, obviously I chucked the anchor out and the tide came in over the anchor, so I didn't know where the anchor rope was. The only way to find it really was to jump on board and get my feet wet, but fortunately I brought another pair of trainers with me, and so I took my socks off before I went in. Just got to dry my feet off now. Okay, anyway, after getting my feet wet there, I managed to get a decent match on 17 metres. In the middle of the band it was about 1 to 1.2, so you can't get much better than that. So I need to get at least a couple of contacts. I don't mind calling CQ here, but I didn't want to end up, if I started calling CQ, didn't want to get tangled up in a contest and giving people serial numbers, etc. I wasn't sure what the exchange was without looking it up. Anyway, so 17 metres.
Well, I remember the QSO because I'm pretty sure you did a video. You did a video of our QSO from back then on 20 metres, and I remember the fact you said, "Oh, very good, yeah, very good." Well, it looks like a lovely location. Looks fantastic.
I use a vertical dipole array here sometimes, which is a bit of a faff to put up, but I also use, when I'm staying here in the shed overnight, I use a quarter wave vertical for 40 metres with 3 elevated radial. Salt water always works its magic, Rob. Victor Kilo 3 Echo Yankee 2 Echo 0 Whiskey Mike Golf Portable. Well, I'm pretty pleased with that. There's actually there's only a few stations I'm hearing on 17 metres, and he just happened to be one of them. He was actually on the cluster, although at that point I hadn't looked. So, but I didn't hear anybody else calling him. But yeah, it's always nice to work in Australia. So if that's the only contact I get today, then I'm quite happy with that.
6 or 7, very good signal. I have a little gift for you. Stand by. Are you 5 and 9? 5 9. You report. My name is Kevin. Kilo Echo Victor Alpha November. Roger. What do you think about Kevin? Over. Thank you. This is Sugar 79 Victor United. 79 View. Listening fire up.
2 Echo 0 Whiskey Mike Golf Portable.
2 Echo 0 Whiskey Mike Germany Portable. Kevin, thanks for the call. Nice to work you today from the portable location. Looks to be I'm working you for the first time. You are a 5x5 55 QSL. Thank you, 59 QSL. Copy that. Thanks for the call. Nice to work you, Kevin. 73 and have a lovely Sunday there. Bye bye.
I couldn't quite figure out what I was doing to operate split automatically, so I was having to just flick between the A and B VFO to work him there. But that's a new country for me, and they don't come along very often, so I'm quite pleased with that. I got had a little bit of a problem as I took my eye off the ball. I've got a friend of a friend out here, Phil. He's trying to pull the he's got a wetsuit on, so he's pulling the launch out from behind the jetty. Need a bit of slack, I think, Phil. Alright, cheers Phil, see you later. Right, I'm aiming to get off. This is high tide. Always sad to leave. Anyway, that's it for now. It's just me going back, which is a reverse of what I did when I came out. 7-3. Till next time.